So listen, welcome again. Thanks so much for coming up from North Carolina. Hope the weather wasn't too bad for you on the way up here. It did foul up a lot of people. And thank you all again for coming for all of our audience. So I think you mentioned that you were a 26-year-old when you came to Cornell, which is a little odd, right? As an undergrad student. So let's just start there. So why were you a 26-year-old and why did you want to start a CPG company?
Well, odd is right. I think non-traditional undergrad is the proper nomenclature. But early in my career, I was a chef. I went to culinary school, and I loved food. I always have. But I started in restaurants, and one of the things I loved about restaurants was like how linear the path to owning my own restaurant felt. Like it made sense to me. Like I can get really good at cooking. I can find some people with money, some investors, and they'll help me open my own restaurant, and things will be great because I was always very entrepreneurial. But you get into that world, and it's like you think about a menu with 30 or 40 menu items, 5 components each. Each of those components may have 3 to 4 to 5 ingredients. It's about a whole lot more than just cooking at that point. What I really showed up in that space for what I loved, and so I wanted to simplify, stay in food, but get out of the restaurant world, and I wanted to focus on one thing, and that kind of was a path that led to start a food company, and something that I could bring into grocery stores. And the first step in that was moving from Austin, Texas, back in with my parents at 25, which was humbling to say the least. Going to community college for a year, and then applying and getting into the hotel school. And when I showed up at Ithaca, I went to the farmer's market and was just shocked that there was no local hummus in a town like Ithaca, New York. And I was like deathly afraid going into Green Star Co-op, like, I'm going to find it. It's going to be there. My dream is going to be squashed.
So were you thinking of hummus before you came to Cornell?
So hummus was one of those recipes that I had picked up in my career from a Lebanese friend of mine that I met at a restaurant. And, when I tasted his hummus, it was like, whoa, this compared to what I can buy at the grocery store would absolutely kill it if I could bring a product like this to market and scale it up without, messing up the ingredients and the process that makes it good in the first place. So I was pretty focused on hummus as the product when I got.
So when you applied to Cornell, you knew you were hummus.
Oh, it was
all in with the hummus.
It was in my application, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm sure it was. So I got to ask, would you rather have a handheld mic? Because there's one right there. I can grab it.
Sure.
It might be easier than you holding your sweater up like that. I just don't want you to be uncomfortable.
Well, I didn't do it successfully, but is that okay?
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, and now you look like a news anchor. It's even better, or a news reporter. Okay, so you sold your first hummus, I think, at the Ithaca Farmers Market. So we have to ask. I'm sure a lot of you have been to the Ithaca Farmers Market. What was that like? Where did you make it? We have students now that are in CPG. They're making stuff in their dorm rooms illegally. They're making stuff like in the weirdest spots. I'm just curious where you made your hummus.
Has anyone ever heard of Primitive Pursuits in Ithaca? Okay.
I went there.
Okay. So Primitive Pursuits is at the 4-H Acres camp on Lower Creek Road, just by the airport. That is a summer camp that's got a kitchen in it that's been inspected, and you can legally make food for sale to the public. I found out about the 4-H camp on Cornell Cooperative Extension's website.
Okay.
And then rented that kitchen space for $250 a month. And that's where the first 2 years worth of Ithaca hummus was made.
So you actually did it legally.
I was legal.
You were full on legal.
I'm not going to jail today.
Yeah, a lot of you know I'm a lawyer, so I like to hear that. So I'm glad you did it legally. And what was it like selling at the farmers market? Like the energy, the vibe. I'm just curious as to how you, as a market seller.
It was incredibly energizing. I think of it in terms of like entrepreneurial currency, the things that aren't money. what fuels that irrational persistence that you need to have in the early days to just like keep going and go harder than anybody else. And the feedback that I got, everybody's been to the Ithaca Farmers Market. I would hope here. It's like 5,000 people a weekend, so it's an overwhelming number of people, and you couldn't walk by our booth without taking a free sample. I mean, we were out in the middle of the aisle getting everybody to try it, and that reaction to the product was one of those early forms of entrepreneurial currency that really fueled me to just keep going and work really hard.
And you were able to sell enough hummus to keep the production going, obviously, right?
Yes, we sold out almost every weekend.
Yeah.
Every week I would make a little bit more. And the farmers market's a great little cash business because I could go out on a Monday and Tuesday after a busy market and take the cash that I made from the market, and by Saturday, Sunday the next week I converted all those raw materials that I bought right back into cash. So, there was no financing growth at that stage.
Yeah. I always like to call the farmers market the easiest place in Ithaca to spend money, which is true. And a lot of it, it's crazy how much people drop at the farmers market. So you outgrew Primitive Pursuits. You ended up with a co-packer in Rochester called Ledestri.
Yes.
And Ledestri, by the way, is a big business. They bottle how much of the spaghetti sauce in the U.S.? Like a lot of it.
Like 80%.
Okay. I mean, it's a for all the brands you can think of. It's a really, really big business. And somehow little Ithaca Hummus, then still very little, convinces Ledestri to take them as a co-manufacturer. How did you convince them?
So when I first met Ledestri, they had just bought a piece of equipment called an HPP machine. And that's basically a food safety technology that is like heat pasteurization, but instead of heat, it uses pressure in a cold environment. This is an expensive piece of equipment, and they were scouring the region looking for products and brands that could, use some of the capacity of this big expensive machine they just bought. And at that time, I had moved on from Primitive Pursuits. I was out at the Finger Lakes Fresh Food Hub in Groton, which is like a 20,000 square foot cold warehouse in the middle of absolutely.
Yeah, I actually remember visiting you one day there. I got the tour. Yeah. You might not remember, but I definitely got the tour.
No, and I took I do remember that, and I took a couple of the members of the Ledestri team on that same tour. And if you remember what it was like there, it was like 10,000 square feet, so it was impressive and it was big. But it was like, a filling machine that I had like stapled together on like a tray sealing machine to put the plastic film on, and like this big tank that we would dangle in the air from a forklift to get the gravity to suck the hummus out of the bottom. I mean, it was like a horror show, but it looked pretty legit.
It's like Halloween.
It was like Halloween. Yeah.
It was a shit. Yeah. It was a shit ton of chickpeas. I do also remember a lot of chickpeas.
You couldn't walk through that place without feeling like, wow, like they're making it happen.
Yeah.
Somehow. And that's the feeling that Ledestri got.
Okay.
And they were like, okay, this product, this team, we can bet on them. And initially they did not want to make the hummus and use their HPP technology. They wanted me to make it in Groton, send it to them to be treated, and then send it back. It took me a year, but I convinced them to do everything under one roof. And it's been a great partnership ever since.
Yeah, I'm going to come back to this partnership, but I also want to go back to a different partnership for a moment, which is your now wife. Did she help you out at the beginning? And if she did she enjoy it?
Yes, and sometimes. She had a job where she was traveling every week to go out and implement this healthcare software at different hospitals. And she would use her leg home to come to Ithaca. And she'd get there on like Friday night, and I'd be like, okay, we're going to Primitive Pursuit. We're going to be making hummus all night. And then tomorrow we're going to go to the farmer's market. It's going to be great. And for like 2 years, she did whatever we needed, which included in the end of her, of her employment
of her tenure.
Of her tenure.
Yes.
She was the one who would call the chickpea vendor and the lemon vendor and say, hey, if you don't we know we're 90 days overdue, but if you don't sell us more, you're never going to get your money. So it turns out that vendors that you owe money to, and this is advice to any entrepreneur out there, they just want to hear from you. They just want to know that you're alive, and that you intend to pay them back. And it helps if you have a sweet lady like Anne on the other end of the phone, like I did. But one quick story, I always, Anne and I joke about this time that she wrote an email in the early days and it used 2 different fonts. And I like flipped out. I was like, what are people going to think? We're struggling to try to cobble together some semblance of legitimacy. And here's this email.
I'm only laughing to myself because I would do the same exact thing. Like a lot of you know, I'm an email maniac. And it's like, everything's got to be consistent. 100% consistent. I'm completely with you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, keep going.
But poor Anne. I've spent years now trying to make a lot of that up, and
bad email fonts.
I think I'm starting to get there a little bit.
Okay, so she's no longer involved in the business itself, right? Just
correct.
Helping on all other fronts. Okay, so going back to Ledestri, so that relationship is tight. It's now 10 years old, I think, about. They invested in your business. They took a 20% stake, which is, I think, pretty significant. Is that normal for a co-packer like Ledestri to invest in a startup?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It is preferred. I would call that strategic capital. And we have other partners now on our cap table that I also consider strategic capital. And for a CPG company, brand, it's not technology. We don't have 90% margins. We don't grow 3,000% year over year. It's not a rocket ship like the traditional venture world was built to support. And so in my business, what I'm trying to do is build an enduring brand, build a brand that's going to be around for decades, if not generations. It's really hard to do that when you have people on your cap table that need their money back in 5 to 7 years. So it was a very meaningful partnership, and it still is, and it kind of provided a roadmap of what should I be looking for in capital partners in the future.
So I'm assuming, based on what you said, that Ledestri is not putting any pressure on you guys to sell the business.
That's exactly right. Okay. They think alongside the entrepreneurs like an owner.
Yeah, which is absolutely fantastic. How about your other strategic, Bush beans? So I don't really see the connection between hummus. Well, I guess chickpeas are kind of like beans. But what's how did you get involved with Bush, and why do they want a part of you, and why do they invest?
So Bush is baked beans. Bush Brothers out of Knoxville, Tennessee, they own 80% of the baked bean category, right? So, and as you can imagine, that category is not exactly going like this right now. So where do you go from the dominant player?
Who doesn't like baked beans?
Everybody does, just once a year, that's the problem. It's not a very high frequency category. So they developed an external growth opportunity team, the ego team, as they call it. Hate that name, but kind of catchy. And they went out searching for companies to invest in and ultimately acquire that were bean-centric first. That was their primary, that's what they were looking for, most importantly. And we were that. And I think what's helped is that we've built a team and an organization that can support the differences in our businesses versus them. We don't need to bolt into their sales team to supercharge our growth. We kind of have established a business that can stand on its own.
Yeah.
And what started out as an attraction because of our shared, focus on beans has now become, they love what we do and they love our business because we stand alone and we have built a sustainable, enduring brand that will last.
That makes a lot of sense. So just last week, I think I read one of your LinkedIn posts. Actually, I know I did. And I think it was last week about your views of venture capitalists in general. Now I'm sure there's VCs here. Actually, I know there's VCs here. But I'd like you to share a little bit about that. about your views. And I understand completely why VC and CPG don't often mix, but there are VC funds that focus on CPG. I mean, you could have gone that route. You decided not to. Give us some of your thoughts about why you think venture capital isn't always good.
Well, I think in the simplest terms, you know, as an entrepreneur, I want to write my own story. I want to be in control of my destiny, and I want to surround myself with a team who all feels the same way. What makes our team at Ithaca great is that we are all entrepreneurs. Everyone on the team has equity. And those are the kinds of people that I want around the table with the tactical experience, operators and owners, when it comes time to make the hard decisions, because we need to be able to think long term. I think the rub for me is I've seen so many great products and founders come and go as a result of taking on too much capital too soon from the wrong partners. And maybe I'm a little bit jaded by that, but I just think that you need to hit a few inflection points before you're really ready to take on that responsibility as an entrepreneur and as a brand. And I just really caution and advise entrepreneurs to make sure that they do that.
Responsibly.
Do that responsibly. Yes, yeah. Yes. And look, not everyone is as fortunate and lucky as we've been at Ithaca. Not everyone is going to have the Ledestri co-packer come on as strategic capital. Not everyone is going to have a strategic like Bush Brothers jump onto the cap table as a 20% investor before, eventually, hopefully acquiring the company. So I get that. But I still need to, champion that message because I think it's the responsible thing to do.
Yeah, I get it. So now you've built the business up to over 50 million, about, which is fantastic. I think that's a lot of hummus, which is in 12 years. I mean, that's actually, I don't want to say it's remarkable, but it's really, really impressive.
$5 at a time. $5. It's a nickel business too. There's
with all those flavors.
Yeah.
I walk into Wegmans, I'm like, oh my God, I can't deal with all this. It's a lot of freaking flavors. So what are some of the key things that you've learned? So I think you mentioned to me earlier about letting go, about certain business functions. And can you share a little bit about how that makes you feel to let go? And do you find yourself trying to claw back in sometimes?
Yeah, I may have shared that everything that I've let go of has claw marks in it. Because, when you start out like I did, not knowing what the heck you're doing, I ran that 10,000 square foot facility like a line cook. It was like a big restaurant, because I didn't know. There was so much. You could fill a book with everything that I didn't know that I could have known and would have been helpful. And when you're in that position, you don't know what's important. You don't know what's not important. You don't know where you can kind of like take it easy a little bit and let that play out a little, or where you need to be like incredibly intense. And so it just, in my experience, forced me to be super intense about everything. And when you're like that, you don't know what's achieving the result that you're seeing. So you don't know what to let go of, and you're afraid to let go of things. But as I surrounded myself with people who knew more than me, and I've been fortunate to be able to recruit some really good people, some mentors of mine. I was able to let go, and you do that, one piece at a time, and then you look back and you're like, wow, look how maniacal I used to be, versus now, I'm a lot more relaxed, and I can and you just see that working, and it just has let me know that it's okay to continue doing that.
What do you think were your least favorite parts of the business to run?
I hate planning. I like to dream, but I don't like to plan.
Dreaming about hummus.
Dreaming, yeah, just dreaming. I like to dream about other things that I want to do, and but when it comes down to like, oh, let's sit down and do the forecast. I don't want to do the forecast. Tell me what we're gonna go out. Tell me who we're gonna go out and sell. So what do I not like? I used to not like selling because it felt like selling out a little bit.
Felt like selling out?
Yeah, it just felt
I mean,
like
you're
I'm selling I'm trying to sell you on something. Like no, I like
like you close Whole Foods and you feel like you're selling out? I mean,
no,
that
no,
doesn't.
not in that way. Like I like my favorite sales meetings are when I sit down with the product and the buyer tries it and I'm like, I have to have this. When it doesn't go that way, then it's like, oh, well, look at all this data. Like, look at our sales, over here, and look at how successful this is over here. And it just feels like, wait a second, you don't get it? You don't get that this is a better product, and you don't want this on your shelf?
This hummus should be selling itself.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I don't know. What do I not like? There's a lot that I don't like, but I like the growth. I like to see other people grow, which fortunately I've had the experience of participating in other people's growth, and I love customer feedback. I love, to this day, it still means so much to me when anyone, just random strangers, like, I love the lemon dill, I love the new collab that you guys are doing. Like it still fuels me.
That's awesome. Talk about hiring talent. How many people in the company now?
20.
So it's still small in terms of people. Do you still interview every person?
No,
Remember, they have a co-packer, so they don't have to do the production part,
that's right.
which is a lot of employees.
Yeah,
Okay.
so the factory has another 40, but we don't employ them directly. That's a contract relationship. 20 people on our team in our office across sales, marketing, operations, and R&D. I do not still interview. It's one of the things that I've intentionally let go of. Like, I need the people who report directly to me to feel the trust that I have in them.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a great opportunity to say, it's your role.
Yeah.
It's your role. It's what you need. Go get them, and I'm here to support you. And that's helped me a lot, because I don't always make the right decision.
Yeah. I'm kind of feeling like this could be a job interview. Like, can I come work for you?
Yeah,
Like
sure.
that.
Absolutely.
I mean, I love my Cornell job, but it seems like this might be kind of fun, actually.
It is.
I mean,
It is.
joining a successful startup, selling stuff I can actually feel.
It is. It's tangible.
Yeah,
And we do have
I
a
love
lot of
that.
fun. And we do. We're lucky. We sell a product that we genuinely like. The more we grow, the healthier the world gets. It's a great product. We're so proud of it, and we're so proud of the growth. And I have a team full of people who genuinely love what they do.
Do you need my resume? Are we good?
No. Just on the spot.
Okay.
You're hired.
That'd be awesome. I'll do anything. I don't care. As long as it's not law related. I don't want to deal with that. Okay, so talk about more than hummus. So did you guys recently launch a salsa brand? How did it go? Was it spicy, not too spicy?
Yeah. So is this on the record? Are we being filmed?
A little bit.
Okay.
I mean, it will be recorded. It's being recorded and live streamed.
Okay.
And we do put the videos up on our website after, so be careful.
So there's a late night talk show host who has a sidekick who's on his show who is perfect to co-brand a salsa with, and so that's kind of in the works right now. A little modern Mexican American brand.
If you haven't figured it out yet, shame on you. Okay.
Yeah. And so I'm excited for that. It's actually Ithaca had a salsa for quite a while, but when it came time to okay, we need to invest millions of dollars into generating trial and awareness for this product that's amazing. Our salsa is amazing. It's the best. Do we want to do that under the Ithaca brand, or do we want to kind of rebrand this thing so that we can optimize the spending that's going to have to happen in trial and awareness? And we chose the latter. And so that's something that we'll be launching in January.
And is Ledestri also producing that?
They are.
They
Yes.
are.
Yes.
I'm sure they wanted to.
They do.
Yeah. Do they also produce other salsa? I don't even know.
Not fresh salsa.
Okay.
They produce some jarred salsa, which is the arch nemesis of
Gotcha.
our new
Gotcha.
business. Yeah.
So look out for the salsa. You'll certainly recognize the name when it comes out.
Well, yeah.
And I'm glad that late night host is still on the air.
So am I.
Yeah.
He's the best. He's the best.
Good. Very, very good. Okay, so by the way, we have audience. We have all Q&A with the speakers. So think about your questions. We have a couple of mic runners that will help us out and get to you. Do not ask questions without a microphone, otherwise they won't be recorded. And the online audience can't hear you. Important. Okay, so just raise your hand and we'll get to a few of those. So what is the exit plan at this point? I'm going to take a second. You look completely happy, very relaxed. I've known you for a long time. You've not always been this relaxed.
That's true.
And you're like happy. Your kids are little. You seem like you're just in a great spot. Oh, and are the 20 people, are they all in North Carolina?
Mostly in Rochester, New York.
Okay.
Yeah, which is where Ledestra is located.
Yeah.
My exit plan, we may or may not have an exit on our horizon, which is, my answer to this question has always been, I want to build a great business first. That means good unit economics. That means a sustainable brand. It means a product that consumers can't get enough of and just can't stop buying. Those are the fundamentals that make great businesses. And that was always the priority for me, not charging towards an exit. And I find that if you're trying to build a great business that you can pass down to the next generation of your family, chances are somebody else is going to want that business. And that is what will give you the optionality that you're going to want as the entrepreneur when it comes time to decide, do I want to keep this or do I want to sell it?
That makes a lot of sense. One of my first experiences as a VC back in 2004 was with Warren Packard, who was at DFJ at the time. This is a tech company in Ithaca, and I was just talking to him as though he was a mentor because I was new, and he just said, "Our goal is to build a great company, and the exit takes care of itself," which I thought was very, very good advice. So, I hope the exit does come at a time when you want it to. It doesn't sound like you care.
I don't care.
Yeah, which is fantastic. And part of that not caring is because his investor base doesn't really care, right? Ledestra owns 20%. Do they care if they cash out? Well, they're making a ton of money making your hummus, so they're actually in a pretty good spot. And it's predictable. Who knows what a new buyer might do?
Exactly. And that buyer, whoever that is, I've always been a little bit intimidated by the thought of one day as the CEO of this company, it may be my responsibility to find the right buyer and the right terms and conditions under which to sell. Never done that before.
Yeah.
But in my experience, when that's not true.
Yep.
And when it is.
Yep. It's interesting if you thought about that. I'm sure you thought about it, but the audience might not. If you sold to another company that wanted to produce your hummus, what would Ledestra do? They're going to get cashed out, but they might not be psyched about that, right? That could be a problem. Okay, Chris, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much. So we do have time for Q&A. We have one over here to start, one in front. Patrick's coming to Barry.
Hi, I'm Barry Berman. I am a pet food guy. And Chris, my path bears a lot of resemblance to yours, from doing consumer events to a national brand. One thing, and also taking only strategic capital, in our case, retailers, not manufacturers. One thing that really impresses me was how you were able to penetrate the big retailers. And my question is, what was the trick, and did Bush and their connections help you?
Well, thanks for the question, Barry. I'll start with the simple answer, which is no on the Bush front. They sell center store and the perimeter, like deli and dairy. It's a whole different buying team. I wish they could have been more helpful, but I'm proud of my team that we didn't need that. The trick was, having a very low time preference. We did not need to. We didn't feel pressure, external pressure, to need to go out and close Costco and Walmart. I was able to. My conversation with Costco was like 7 years long before we ever sold a single jar to them. And that allowed me to keep coming back year after year with the same pricing, even though they're like, we don't get it. We don't understand why on an ounce per ounce basis, this is twice as expensive as our Kirkland signature. And so we're not ready. We don't understand. And I said, okay, well, I'll see you in a year and maybe you'll get it then. But right now I'm not discounting my price, you know? And so for us, we were able to be patient and long term and focus on one big retailer at a time, blow the doors off, and then take that success to the next set of retailers and let them decide who wants to be next.
Yeah. Excellent. Question in front, right here. Jenny, thank you.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Bridge. Thank you so much for coming and speaking, first of all. So one question I have is that when it comes to the food space, and even now newly the AI space, one thing that's so difficult is margins, because everything costs so much to be able to make such a good consumer product, but you also need to sell it for not too high of a price. And when you're entering a competitive market, you might want to reduce your margins so just more people can try your product. So what advice do you have for managing margins at the start of your company, throughout the lifetime, or just generally understanding what you should do economically with them?
Yeah, that's a really good insight. I think there's a few ways to approach that. First of all, take your time, find the right channels where you can access the right consumer base who maybe doesn't need that heavy discounting in order to gain trial. Where can you storytell? Where can you brand build? A brand and brand marketing is a big part of trial and awareness. When it's done well, it's about the most efficient spend that you can have as a brand. So focus on what are your unique features and benefits. What value are you creating in the marketplace, and how do you tell that story on an emotional level? That's the gold standard. It's very hard to do though. So in the absence of great brand marketing, which was the case for Ithaca for a long, long time, you kind of have to figure out what's the right price point, your pricing and promotional strategy. You spend a lot of time figuring out mass premium is kind of the space that we like to call ourselves. So it's just the right amount of premium on an everyday basis, $1 more than the competition. And then what's your frequency and depth of promotion to go out and gain trial? And then you want to watch that over time. Am I seeing a sustainable base growth due to the promotional strategy that I'm executing? It's a great question.
So when you were back at Primitive Pursuits or the place in Groton, did you have a gross margin in mind? I almost find this hard to believe if you did, just knowing you way back then. But it seems like it's necessary for the business to have, okay, we're going to make at least this much gross margin so we can market.
I mean, 50% is kind of the standard, for any business. And that's always what I was kind of shooting for. Never really made it there, but that was always the goal. And, even back then though, we used to do, gosh, I'm probably going to mess this up, but it was a 1 for 5, 2 for 9, and 3 for 12. So that was our pricing strategy at the market, written on a little chalkboard. How do I incent volume? But that's a good question, and it's different for every business and every brand. You just have to roll your sleeves up and figure it out. You're welcome.
Where's the next one? Go ahead.
Hi, thank you so much for coming. I'm Julia. I'm currently a chemical engineering student, and I also worked at Starbucks R&D. And I'm so curious about how you approach consumer research and product development. What's your process to understand what consumers want, and how do you decide what new flavors to put out and stuff like that?
It's changed a lot. A lot of that in the beginning just kind of came from, what do I want? What do I think the category is missing?
He's like Steve Jobs, right?
Yeah. I mean, our first product was lemon garlic hummus. It was not classic. It wasn't plain, and that's just, I'm a chef. I would never call anything that I make plain. That's sacrilegious. I like menus where it's ramps, rabbit saddle, garlic confit. You know what I mean? Like it just lists out the what's on the dish. So that was kind of how we named our first flavors: lemon and garlic, lemon and beet, smoked chipotle. What's it going to taste like? And that worked. And that was kind of the path that we followed for a long time. But then, more recently, it's about trying to understand separate the fads from the trends. You don't want to follow the fads. You want to find the real trends. And if it's not being done in your category, that's how you know you have an opportunity. Where is there a gap in the marketplace that's actually a real trend? That's where we want our innovation to be. We want to go where consumers are going and are going to stay for a long period of time. You look like you still have a question.
Wait, I feel like that's like obvious, right? You want to find the trends and stuff. Like, how do you find that though? Like, do you have like taste? Like, do you have like consumer research about like giving your hummus samples out to people and see like how they accept it and things like that? Like, how do you find the trends? Like, how do you find like the signal in the noise, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, how do you do that as a consumer? Like what we don't do is have a bunch of panels and a bunch of surveys and a bunch of data, and like we don't do any of that. It's very intuitive. We know our category, we know our product, we know our competitors, we know our customers inherently, because that's part of the listening that we do every time we have inbound communication. Whether it's on social or email, first of all, you make sure those channels are set up well, and you make sure that you're set to respond and engage and cultivate relationships with your consumers on a one-to-one basis. All that input feeds your collective intuition as an organization. I think if you have to go out and conduct field studies and shop-alongs, and you're just not paying attention to the consumers that are probably already reaching out to you and telling you what they want.
It's a good, simple. So we have time for one more. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you for coming. I'm Sion. I'm with ENT at Cornell. And I like to ask, it seems like your business sounds like it's smooth sailing, but I'm pretty sure there were a lot of struggles throughout the journey. I'm curious what struggles you had and how you overcome it, and how you make sure you make right decisions when you are in those situations to overcome that.
Well, we can't always make sure that we make every decision right. And it's important to, build a culture where people know that mistakes are okay. I'm big on taking action. I have a bias for action. And just, as a result of that, so does the team. So I would rather make the decision and take the action than overthink it. And because there's always a next move. People tend to think that every decision that they make is way more permanent than it actually is. And so I like to solve problems and work through challenges actively, not by trying to think my way out of it. It's a balance, but I definitely am biased towards action.
Now I definitely know I want to work for you. That's all perfect. Okay, so Chris, thank you so much. We have to move on to our next speaker. That was fantastic.